The turning point for Middle East has arrived. The whole region is on the verge of a full-fledged war which could change the map of the region for years to come. While the conflict is getting worse, Israel and US are talking about the need to withstand Iran. But Tehran denies any link to the war. Here we're gonna investigate shortly what's going on, what Iran wants, and what would be the outcome of the conflict. It's Shafi, and after a long time, welcome to the new episode of Polit Affairs. US President Joe Biden said yesterday that US is ready for a war with Iran and that Israel won't stand alone. This is while Secretary of State said a few days ago that US does not have any intelligence report of Iran's involvement in this conflict. Also, New York Times reported 2 weeks ago that Tehran was actually surprised by the Hamas attack on Israel. These are hints for Tel Aviv. While many might think that US is actually preparing for a big war to defend Israel, and Israel is also getting ready to start a war with Iran, the reality is exactly contrary-wise. The United States have never been willing for a war with Iran, and especially now they are even more reluctant than ever to do so. US is not simply prepared to start another big war in the heart of the Middle East, while fighting Russians in the Ukraine and Iranian proxies in Palestine and Lebanon. It's not 70s anymore, and US is not the same anymore. Actually, these hints are proofs that US even tries to convince Israel not to commit such a suicide. Israel is still hesitating to enter forces into Gaza Strip, and if they do, it will cost them too many lives. In such a situation, you think Tel Aviv could handle a big war with a power such as Iran? Actually, United States is always verbally supporting an ally, nothing more. On the other hand, Iran is also totally reluctant to engage in any war with Israel or the US. That's gonna be a total mess for all sides and for the whole region. However, we are witnessing a very brutal war in Palestine. Hundreds of innocents dying each day. Though in fact, this conflict is in favor of many other actors, including Iran and Russia. The first advantage it has for Iran is the end of efforts for reconciliation between Israel and Arabs, especially Saudi Arabia. But the main one is engaging Israel in a long war. It weakens Israel gradually, and Tel Aviv won't be able to focus on damaging Iranian mainland. This is exactly the policy that Western countries have been practicing in the West of Asia in the last 200 years, to engage enemies in a long bloody war and weaken all other sides while selling them weapons. If Israel decides to invade Gaza using ground forces, the situation will become more complex. The hate against Israel will rise sharply, especially in Islamic and Arab countries, and the Europeans won't be willing to support their actions anymore. It will also take a year or more to eradicate Hamas from that city. Tehran at the same time doesn't want any sudden escalation not to provoke Israel taking a dangerous step. This is why Hezbollah is gradually stepping up. For Iran, the best scenario is a gradual escalation and a long-lasting war. This is also in favor of Russia to see less Western attention towards Ukraine. It might also motivate China to finally invade Taiwan on the brink of the US presidential election of 2024. A ground invasion would also most probably force some Arab governments to engage in this conflict under pressure from their citizens. Jordan and Egypt are the most favored choices for engagement. But the most dangerous case for Tel Aviv is Hezbollah opening second front. Hezbollah is not Hamas. It's a fully trained, experienced and armed force, made of at least 200,000 troops with thousands of advanced warfare such as ballistic missiles. Then there are other proxies in Yemen, Iraq and Syria. So for Israel, reaching Iranian mainland would be only possible after a long war with all these proxies. And if they do, invading Iran would be a suicide. This is why it makes it possible actually. Israel is now in a crossroad. Considering this conflict, which might bring in other Arab enemies, and also the fragile domestic situation, Israel might feel they are going down the final road. There will be a moment that they would decide to confront their main enemy before reaching the final line. The Palestinians had a chance for one day to hold a mirror in their hands and show the Israelis how brutal is their own actions in the last 50 years. And as far as the West does not accept this fact, the conflict and bloodshed will go on and on in this part of the world. Thanks for watching.